frank and honest discussions. I think Melissa and Joe laid out the scale of the problem confronting the state of Connecticut. Joe laid out in some detail what we need to do to get our roads and bridges up to a state of good repair. Melissa pointed out that the Federal Department of Transportation is keeping an eye on us right now, and the warning lights on the dashboard. And we could be subject to some penalties if we don't get our roads and bridges up to a state of good repair. Melissa laid out in a lot of detail, which I think was agreed to by folks, everybody around the table. This is the amount of dough we need to A, get our roads and bridges up to a state of good repair, and B, speed up our transportation system. You know, there was no dispute about that. But we did not agree on how to pay for the needed improvements to our transportation system. And I think there was an agreement that we're going to meet again. I think there was a sense that Joe and Melissa had given everybody an awful lot of information, and they wanted a little bit of time to digest it. But I'm not going to overstate it. I mean, I would say there was quite a divide between us in terms of what we do, and I'm not sure that we found a toll bridge to connect us against that divide. And but I'm going to try my best. I mean, I've been doing deals a long time. And there's a lot of pent-up history in that room, and a lot of folks who are really skeptical about government being able to keep their word. And I'm going to try my heart out every day to give people a sense that we have a fresh start in this building, and I'm going to keep reaching out every day to Republicans as well as Democrats to see if we can get there. But as you know, and I've said many times, I'm going to make these folks make a decision going forward on how we fix our transportation system, because that we agree is in peril.
What's the timeline on these federal penalties with regard to road improvements? What are you talking about?
You want to speak to that?
Melissa
Or Joe? Maybe
Joe.
What happens is, particularly on the highway side, both on the pavement and on the bridges, you have an audit that's done. We have to meet those audits, and we have to show that we're maintaining to the standards that are expected. So one of the problems that we have is that we looked at the funding going forward, and that was the good part of this discussion. There was no question as to the numbers that we were putting there and the reality of what we're facing. We're on a trajectory right now that we were staying at about 85%, okay, for state of good repair. As we looked forward at the next 10 years, we would drop by 40%. That leads to where the federal government has the ability to come in and first dictate how much money of what they give you is going to be spent specifically on those projects. Then if you can't meet that end of the criteria, they start penalizing you, or they'll reduce the amount of money that they'll give you and the percentage that you're going to get. Now, I want to be clear. We're not talking about that right at this moment. We're talking about the 10-year projections based on what we're seeing coming at us.
10 years.
So you're saying in the future, in other words, if the state doesn't keep up standards in the future, in other words, no one's going to fine or penalize the state of Connecticut right now. But if things continue, to get worse or to be at the same level they are now?
Basically, the way that I would say it, and I'll turn this over to the secretary here, but what we're looking at in terms of funding coming in does not meet the need to keep us at the state of good repair that we need to maintain with the federal government. And that's the statement. So you are correct in saying it's not now. The problem is the projection going forward. And I'm talking about not a 20-year timeline, I'm talking over the next 10 years. Okay, what's going to be happening on this, because I'm going to turn it over to you. When I talk about the rate, the secretary has truly helped me to a true diet on what is in front of us and what I have to look forward to in terms of this department.
Right.
Talk about the rate.
You know, I have to commend Commissioner Giletti because his team presented to leadership research-based, data-based, condition assessment-based facts that support the level of investments that is required for state of good repair. If you look at the budget that was passed by the General Assembly, you'll see that we're going to spend around $875 million in annual infrastructure investment in fiscal 2020. But the data shows that the annual required level of investment is $1.2 billion every year. So what Commissioner Giletti is saying is if we cannot forge a path forward that allows this state to make that level of investment, and his state of good repair continues to erode to the point at which it triggers penalties, the state of Connecticut will have some negative blowback from that. So again, the conversation today was to bring data and facts forward to help leadership understand the level of investment that's required on an annual basis to meet state of good repair, and what that financial pro forma looks like. And what it looks like is that to do that by 2030, we have an annual $1 billion deficit. And we respect that they made steps in the right direction to start to adjust that problem through the car sales tax transfer, but that only buys us 3 to 4 years, and the sea of red numbers will continue beyond that. And so this governor, again, is forging a conversation with leaders to say, let's begin to think now about that red path that is not going to go away, and let's avoid these penalties that we will be facing if we're not able to make the proper investments in our infrastructure.
Governor, you said that there was a gap. Is it between you and Senate Democrats, you and House Democrats? Is it Republicans? Where's the disconnect right now?
I think talking to my Republican colleagues, there's just a sense that any money spent is money misspent by a government going back many years. And I've tried my best to convince people this is the best investment we can make to get the state growing again. That money goes to transportation. That money can only go to transportation. And that's the most important thing we can do to grow jobs. But there was such severe skepticism about 20 years of history in the state that the money won't be well spent. That was a bridge too far.
But do you think that you can get Democratic votes on board after this meeting?
I think so.
So if you
What was the point of that income tax proposal that is included in your slide presentation? It seemed like a non sequitur. There was no context for it, so perhaps you could fill us in.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good idea myself. I mean, the theory is we're going to raise a significant amount of money through tolling to go just to transportation. I understand the middle class is getting squeezed in this state, and tolling is in many ways going to be costly to some folks.
So, Governor,
but let me just finish. So, what we did was we put in place, and Melissa's modeled out a couple of ways that we can reduce the income tax for people earning up to about $125,000. We thought if I could reduce the income tax for those folks, plus a credit on the easy path for working families, we can make this affordable, make this doable, and get us going.
Because of the added cost of going to work, in other words. That's why that was in there.
I understand people are getting squeezed, and I've got to do everything I can to show people that I understand that need. And I thought reducing the income tax and the credit would make an awful lot of sense as a way to mitigate that, and frankly help us get a legislature that doesn't like to make a lot of tough decisions to make a decision.
so like Melissa just said, if you need $1.2 billion annually, and congestion price tolling is going to get you, say, $800 million, can you really afford to compromise and scale back, like you said last week that you were willing to do?
Look, we can figure out the right balance between what we do on state of good repair and what we do in terms of, for example, changing a couple of the exits down in Fairfield County that would shorten people's commute times by 22 minutes. I mean, we can figure out how we scale that out over a period of 10 years. I'm ready to negotiate. I've been trying to do deals a long time. This one's a tough one.
Was there any consensus that the Republicans or others in the room liked the idea of an income tax reduction or a tax credit? Or was that any kind of agreement on that, or how did they respond or receive it?
To be determined.
So if you spend,
We'll talk again next week.
Governor, if you,
I don't want to overstate the optimism there, though.
if you,
What do you think of having a special session? And if you say Democrats support it, why not call them in and have a vote?
I'm working with the leadership right now to figure out what's the right time for that.
So you're still, how confident are you that there will be a special session on transportation funding?
Very confident.
Are you not
So
taking the income tax off the table? Tell us exactly where you are on that. In other words, that was a proposal. You're not really pushing it forward at the moment. Am I correct? But are you not ruling it out? Like, where are you?
Oh, I'm certainly not ruling it out. I mean, as I said, I think it makes a certain amount of sense. I think it tells taxpayers across the state, I understand that your taxes have been going up. This year we had a budget where we held the line on income tax. Here's an opportunity for actually to reduce it a little bit. That doesn't happen in the state very often.
That's to help cut a deal for tolls. That's
the way to tell taxpayers. I understand that we take their dollars very seriously, and I'm going to show that we care.
But that
So,
wasn't
Governor-
made very clear in the, I mean, maybe you made it clear to them when you were talking about it, but the presentation here that we got on our phones and laptops, it was just sitting there. It didn't say that it was, this is a carrot to get you to vote for this. That's what you're talking about, right?
No, what I'm talking about is the fact that I got to get a transportation bill passed, and we got to be able to pay for it. And I got a lot of people in this building that don't like to make tough decisions, and certainly don't like to pay their bills. They love to borrow it. They love to push it all off to the next generation. That's what we've done here for an awful long time. So this is one way I think I maybe can get some folks to the table and tell the taxpayers I get it.
So, Governor, if every penny that was supposed to go to the Special Transportation Fund, including the new car sales tax, went to the Special Transportation Fund instead of being diverted, would you have a $1 billion deficit in 2030?
We'd have a big $1 billion deficit very soon. The car tax does not solve that problem.
That's correct, and you have a copy of the presentation, and while without the continuation of the car sales tax, so by the way, by the end of the biennium, it's at 25%. If it were not to go any further and get to 100%, we'd be facing about $1 billion by 2030. And if we were to continue it, which I believe is what the intention is, we'd still be facing about a $600 to $700 million annual deficit. So again, the point is, we can buy time, and that can be a part of the solution, but it doesn't fix the problem. And so you've got a package of concepts that we put in front of legislative leaders to see if we can forge a path for agreement. And the income tax is one component of that.
One last question, Pat.
The state of good repair obviously is a very important thing, but the thing you hear from the legislators is, what are the enhancements? And this report has some examples, particularly at I-95 from Bridgeport to the state line. But does the administration intend to offer some more vivid examples of what your commute will look like in 10 years without tolls? And what it could look like, what the savings you could make in time if we do get tolls.
Yeah.
Or is this it? Is this the pitch you got? This is what we're should work off of for the next couple of months.
But I think people in that room there know exactly how transformative these investments could be. We went through in some detail, Joe's team did, in terms of what those two exits would mean in terms of I-95, which is a congested gridlock right now. And every real estate developer will tell you it's slowing down growth in that part of the state. Two exits, 6.2 miles, dramatically increased, 22 minutes. We've told that story in terms of what it does in Hartford, what it does in other parts of the state. To your point, yeah, I got to keep telling that story, and I got to do a better job of telling that story. And state of good repair. Look, I come from a part of the state. I drove over the Mianus River Bridge a couple hours before it collapsed. And that's not going to happen in the state. It's not going to happen on our watch. I guarantee you that. But we've got to be careful, and it's time to make those investments. Hey, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Governor.